It's match day 2 of the Champions League in episode 56 of Pinnacle FC. Gareth Wheeler, Jake Osgathorpe back with you on a Monday, licking our wounds from the weekend that was across European domestic football, but it's the Champions League, okay? And I mean, there are heaters and then there are heaters because match day 1 in the Champions League, your boy Wheels here came away with over 6 units of profit, and I'm really confident headed to the Champions League for match day 2 as well. How are you, Jake? Good to have you back.
Yeah, good to be back. I think the Champions League was really good. The first round of fixtures, I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was weird to have it stretched across Thursday as well, but just an extra
Loved it,
day's
actually.
football. Yeah,
Loved it. I think it's a
yeah,
good concept. Maybe they can flip-flop. One week they do Europa League Conference Week, and the other week they do Champions League. Works for me.
yeah. I somehow don't think there'll be enough weeks in the schedule for that, but yeah, no, we saw some really good games, and I think the main thing we saw was quite a lot of goals. So we might be touching on that again, because I think I touched on it in the first podcast. It's just like the format is just lends itself to goals because draws don't really help you in the league phase in terms of finishing the top 8, even the top 24. You have to win matches, so yeah, you see teams have a good go for it.
All right. A reminder, you can follow along with Pinnacle on socials, either on X at Pinnacle, and of course the Reddit subgroup, which we're all part of, reddit.com/Pinnacle Sportsbook. Join the community on Pinnacle subreddit, get betting insights, market updates, and direct access to the people who are working for Pinnacle as well. Bet smart, bet Pinnacle. I should always remind you, all the markets that we're using for this podcast are courtesy of Pinnacle as well. Nothing for me in terms of future plays in the Champions League. I'm not sure if anything is definitive or changed that much. Anything for you, Jake, or shall we just move on to this week's fixtures?
Yeah, let's just move on. I mean, there's not been much movement in terms of the odds. All the favourites won on the opening day, so yeah, not too much to glean really.
With the exception of Benfica, which makes for a very interesting game this week. In Benfica and Chelsea, Mourinho, well, I can't say his former club anymore because he's just about coached every club across European football. So the Karabag result was the big one, and one that both of you and I were on, and Benfica went to nil, and it absolutely turned out the complete opposite. All right, I'll leave it open to you to start wherever you like for the Tuesday fixtures. Let's start with the Tuesday fixtures across the Champions League.
Yeah, let's start with the early game, Kairat Almaty versus Real Madrid, because I never thought I'd be doing this back in a team that I don't know much about, but we're getting plus 2 3/4 of a head start on the handicap. And I just think that the travel is going to have a massive impact on Madrid. Just to put it into context, they will be traveling 4,000 miles, which is the equivalent of an 88-hour car journey. It's an 8-hour flight from Madrid to the Almaty Central Stadium. That's a lot.
That's 8 Proclaimer songs right there. Very simple math. So.
But yeah, it's a lot of travelling, and you know they got hammered 5-2 by Atletico Madrid, so they're not in the best space mentally. That was actually, I think, it was the first time in 75 years they'd conceded 5 goals in a Madrid derby, and then flying off to Kazakhstan. Like, you basically, in terms of longitude, latitude, you're really close to India, New Delhi, and you're a 4-hour drive from China. Just to put it in perspective, how far east Madrid are having to travel, and it's no surprise that. Obviously, we don't have a massive sample size, and the teams that Kairat played in the qualifiers weren't very good, but they barely laid a glove on Kairat. Like, it was Celtic, Slovan Bratislava, and a couple of teams, like I think it was Finnish side, KUPS. I think I called them Cups on the last time, so we'll stick with that. But yeah, they barely created anything because it's such a long journey, and it's extremely tiring. And I think Madrid travelled on Sunday, so they probably had one day of training, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. And I just think the handicap is just so big. And I did a bit of digging. Obviously, you can't really compare Kairat Almaty to any other teams, really, in terms of, we don't know where they are in terms of level. But if you backed the 2.5 handicap of Madrid's opponents in every away game across the last 45 Champions League away games, you would have had a winner 34 times. So Madrid have only covered the 2.5 handicap in 9 of the last 45 Champions League away days. That obviously features some really poor teams, but obviously Madrid were probably in a better way at that point. We're talking about going back to 17-18 when they were winning back-to-back Champions Leagues. Still got Ronaldo playing for them, so they're probably a better team. There's teams like Apoel. I think they beat Celtic 3-0 once, but they only have to look last season. They barely did anything away from home. I think they actually lost to Lille, didn't they? And then got turned over at Liverpool. So yeah, it's a bit of a guess about whether this Kairat team are actually half decent, but they did put up a decent fight against Sporting. They kept it 0-0, and obviously I talked about the travel for Madrid. They had that big travel over to Lisbon. They kept it tight for about 40 minutes, really frustrated Sporting. Obviously, once they got one, the floodgates open, but they did grab a goal, which was very unlikely according to the odds. So, yeah, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and I think there could be a case made that their home field advantage, just based on the travel, could actually be quite significant. A bit like Bodo Glimt travelling up to, Antarctica or wherever they play over there on AstroTurf. So yeah, that might be something that catches Madrid out. And I obviously think Madrid will win. It's just, can I see them winning by 3 goals? And even if they win by 3 goals here, we only lose half our stake as well, because we've got +2 and 3/4.
I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I watched a bunch of that game against Sporting because I had a Sporting Lisbon pro play in that game. And the goal came late. It was already 4-0. And Sporting, I mean, they were just running circles around this team. I don't care about the travel so much. Private jet, they'll be comfortable. Yeah, it's long travel, but I just look at this based on the result on the weekend. This is a prime bounce back spot for Real Madrid, taking on a lesser like after being embarrassed in the derby. I mean, that's there's going to have to be some kind of response, and I think that maybe might make them a little bit more sharp going into this game. But I'm not going to touch the handicap. I'm going to go with the much better. It's the Bayern Munich way. Both teams to score no and over 2.5 at +134 because you're getting more juice. If it's a 3-goal win, never mind splitting the difference on the 2.75. It's just predicated obviously on Real Madrid scoring 3 and their opponent failing to score. So at +134, that's a market that I will be getting involved in. A good enough bounce back spot for me. Travel notwithstanding, I think that this is the kind of tie that they'd fancy coming off the disappointment from the weekend. So that'll be my play for that one. So countering perspectives here with Jake Osgathorpe, not a direct head-to-head, but just different ways that we're
I wouldn't be riding
one.
the Kairat Almaty train head-to-head. Absolutely no chance.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue things on with the Tuesday fixtures. Anything else there for you?
Yeah, my favourite bet of the entire slate is both teams to score in over 2.5 goals in Atletico Frankfurt, which is at +103. We mentioned there Madrid, Atletico come off a 5-2 win in the Madrid derby. If anybody didn't see, Frankfurt won 6-4 this weekend. They were 6-0 up in the first half, lost the second half 4-0.
Isn't that crazy? It was one of the most outrageous games of the week. But go ahead.
Mental. But yeah, those results they're not a flash in the pan from what we're seeing from both these teams. They're both exceptionally attack-minded. Even Atletico Madrid, they have a good go in every single game. Defensively, still lacking a little bit, and we saw that in the first games as well in the Champions League. Atletico lost 3-2 at Anfield. Frankfurt hammered Galatasaray 5-1. So yeah, I think it's just a dream kind of scenario situation in the sense that Atletico, they lost their openers. They have to really win if they want to get into the top 8. They did finish in the top 8 last season. So they're going to be going for the win here. They're going to really step out there and really try and win or play to win, which is what we're seeing more of from Simeone's side. And then if you just look at the kind of rates that these bets are clicking, so both teams to scores landed in 7 of 8 matches for Atletico Madrid this season. Frankfurt, all of their last 6 games have gone both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. The games, those last 6 games are averaging 6 goals per game, which is just bizarre. And given the way in which both are creating chances and conceding chances, I won't put anybody off back in the goal line either. It's just like maybe doing a small ladder on the goal line. 3.5 at +141. Maybe you can get 4.5 at +300, something like that, and just see how high it will climb, because there's every chance this could turn into a real end-to-end shootout.
Yep. Only other thing that I would add is I don't even mind playing Eintracht Frankfurt on the handicap. This is completely being blown out of proportion based upon the Atletico Madrid win on the weekend over Real Madrid. Eintracht Frankfurt is a good team. +1. You're getting a full goal on this one against a side that, other than the weekend, and yes, it was a big win over the weekend, haven't been all that convincing. And you can get it at +101, just about even money as well. So there seems to be some good value on a really good side. I've been high. They're one of my sweetheart teams that I'm going to be continuing to get value, because I don't think there's a public understanding of how good this team is, because they lose a player like Ekitike, but Burkhardt was outstanding last season at Mainz, and they reinforced the front line with two players rather than just the one with Ekitike. So I like your angle on this one, but I also like just a pro Eintracht Frankfurt play on the handicap as well here. Okay, I think that that's a game that both of us will be keeping our eye on this week. Continuing on in terms of Tuesday, Jake, what else do you see?
Yeah, I've ummed and ahed over this, but I do think Benfica are a bit of value on the handicap at Chelsea. They are actually on the drift, which I'm surprised about. Yeah, that's one factor, because obviously he's not going to want to go Chelsea and lose. He's going to want to go there and make a statement.
They've been bad. They've been really bad, and
Benfica.
even their league form, even their league form has been it's been patchy at best.
Yeah, the performances haven't been bad though. They drew 1-1 at the weekend and they conceded a 93rd minute equaliser, but they racked up like 2.5 expected goals against. Sorry, no, they won at the weekend. It was the week before I'm thinking about. They drew 1-1 with Rio Ave. 2.6 expected goals to 0.16. Like, that's not a struggling team. That's a team that got very unlucky on that occasion. And then they came from behind to beat Gil Vicente. It's just more about Chelsea, to be honest. Yeah. I think they really are struggling at the moment. They look defensively vulnerable. I think anybody who looks at the team sheet and sees Robert Sanchez and Trevor Chalobah and Tosin Adebayo, you're probably looking at it and going, yeah, that's gettable. You fancy your chances there. And Maresca's not doing himself any favours either. Like, some of his decisions in terms of substitutes are absolutely ludicrous. I mean, we spoke about what he did at Man United when he made two substitutions after 5 minutes. One he needed to, obviously, put another goalkeeper on, but then taking on another attacking player to go for a back five when it's 0-0.
I think he's overthinking it. He did
it again against Brighton. He just let them back in the game. Yes, you've gone down to 10 men, but you're 1-0 up and you're pretty comfortable. So why are you making some daft substitutions? I think there's part of that. I don't think they're all that good going forward. They're still missing Cole Palmer, who obviously provides that little bit of magic. He likes these big moments as well. And I just think Benfica are a pretty solid team. I know they got beat by Karabakh, but I think generally they're just going to be very difficult to play against. Like, they've got quite a few foul merchants in the middle of the park that will stop you from getting any sort of momentum. And obviously Mourinho's just going to go and play spoiler. I just thought, I think the handicap should be at half a goal, personally. And we're getting an extra quarter of a goal here. So lose half a stake if they lose by a single goal. I'm more than happy to take that.
Well, based upon how shaky Chelsea had been from a centre-back perspective, Benfica, the chances they gave up to Karabakh, it was honestly criminal. Like, it was Swiss cheese defending. At home, now they're going away to Stamford Bridge.
Mourinho won't let that happen, really.
We think they're still conceding goals in the Portuguese league as well. I think there might be some problems there. And look, I'm of the opinion that Mourinho, wonderful character. If I can hire him as a manager just to do the press conference every week, I'd do that. But it's football in recent stops. I think the game has passed him by a little bit. I think it's time for Jose Mourinho to take his craft to international football, because I think it'd actually be more effective. But with that being said, I'm eyeing the total, an alternative total, just bringing it up to 3 at +109, because I do think there can be some goals in this game based on the pressure that's on Chelsea and Maresca. Benfica's defense is really, really poor. So I don't mind just taking out just the total to 3 in this one. And you already mentioned, to kick off the podcast, the need to score goals, the need to win games in this competition. And Benfica's already in a position where they're facing that. Like, a draw at Chelsea on the surface would be a good result, but I think that both teams really need to push for a win here, especially Chelsea coming off an opening Matchday 1 loss against Bayern Munich as well. So I'll look at the total there. I have my eyes on 2 other matches on Tuesday. I like the Tuesday slate of fixtures better than the Wednesday, to be honest. Do you have anything else that you're looking at?
No, I've got
No?
three more for Wednesday, but no more for Tuesday.
Okay. My favorite bet of the week is Inter to win to nil over Slavia Prague. Bodo Glimt came through against Slavia Prague
Just
in the
about.
first one, 2-2. Just they got it done. Look, like Inter's getting back on track. A 2-0 win at Cagliari on the weekend, and going up against a side that I think is one of the worst in this competition. Just look at the futures markets on Pinnacle. There's only one team with longer odds to go on and win the Champions League than Slavia Prague, and that is the side Kairat Almaty, who we spoke about. Like that's it. Like they're prognosticated and predicted to be one of the worst teams in this competition, playing at the San Siro. Inter at home. I just look at this to be straightforward. Hitting plus 137. Inter are likely to win this game anyways, but win to nil at plus 137. I think it's the best value on the board this week in the Champions League, to be honest with you. And I typically don't make bets that are more than just a unit, but this might fit that category. I mean, let's put it this way. Inter to win is minus 298, win to nil at plus 137. And for me, the odds are that they're going to win to nil in this game if they're going to win it all. So, yeah, love that play. I also, Bayern Munich has been so good to start the season, like to the point where you can't ignore. They're playing at Pafos FC. I know very little about them. I know they played to a goalless draw in the first leg, but let's just go with Bayern Munich on the handicap at 2.5 at plus 105. They're scoring goals for fun. They've been strong defensively. Just take away any other factor. Bayern Munich on the handicap at minus 2.5 at plus 105. They've been that good here out of the gate, and I just don't think that's a bad bet whatsoever. It's not making my official board for this show, but that's something that I'll just absolutely take a nibble on this week. Are you surprised how good Bayern Munich have been out of the gate, like against all competition as well, Jake? They've been
Yeah,
outstanding.
yeah, they really are clicking. And they kind of found a nice balance, especially at home, where they're keeping clean sheets. Whether they can take that to their away matches is the next challenge. Obviously, we expect them to win this quite comfortably, but I'm sure they'll have tougher away games. But yeah, I like that shout. I've got Bayern Munich in for four goals here minimum. If anybody can get onto a Harry Kane to score. I mean, he'll be very short to score once, but score twice and score three times, I think are well worth getting involved in if you can find any odds, because he scored 15 times in 8 games this season. He's already scored 4 braces and 2 hat tricks. He's absolutely on fire. 1.5 expected goals per 90 as well, playing at the spearhead of this Bayern Munich attack. So
I know it's as square of a bet as you can make, but like there's nothing wrong with that when the data and the context just tells you that there's no reason to believe that Bayern Munich wouldn't keep it rolling. It's a team that's relatively new to this competition. I understand it's going to be a big occasion playing a side like Bayern Munich, but still, Bayern have been that good coming out of the gate this year. All right, for Wednesday, some good games, including the feature match. It's Barcelona and PSG. Um, Injury crisis at PSG altogether at the wrong time. Vitinha left the game on the weekend. Kvaratskhelia came out of that game at
yeah, he's a doubt.
halftime as
Yeah,
well. That's to lump on the other injuries, the
Neves,
Dembele,
Due, Dembele,
Nevitt. I
yeah,
mean,
Fabian
I
Ruiz, yeah,
like it's
Marquinhos,
very
just
hard for
the
me
spine
to
of the
to
team.
not like you have to sometimes there's injuries that pop up and teams are more than capable of you might even be able to find some value the other way, but again, this is pretty square, but like based upon the injuries that they've suffered, Barcelona, like they've gone from a favorite to a pronounced favorite in this one. It's just about finding the best way to attack it for me. That's the way that I'm coming at it. Jake, how are you looking at this game?
Yeah, pretty similar to be fair. Yeah. Barcelona are shortening. I do think that they are probably a bit of value just to win, just as it is now at minus 111. I think if it goes any shorter, you probably touch and go. But yeah, it's going to be very difficult for PSG. But we know that Enrique's teams, not only obviously they have individual quality, but they are generally more than the sum of the parts because they play so well together as a team. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them make this competitive. I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see them score. So I'm guessing you're going to be going for a Barca win and both teams to score.
I'm going to go for a Barca win and over 2.5
Okay.
goals because generally that's the path forward, including on the weekend against Real Sociedad. You can get Barcelona to win and over 2.5 at plus 142. So that's a good number for me. They did it at Newcastle as well in Matchday 1, which was my biggest hit of the Matchday last week,
Yeah.
and contributed to that over 6 unit play. But yeah, Barcelona, when they win, it's generally with goals. PSG still has some quality. I do agree that they can make it competitive, but I just think Barcelona way too much. Barcelona, by the way, on the weekend were able to rotate and rest up a number of their key players as well for the weekend. They've dealt with some injuries as well, but it's nowhere near the crisis that Luis Enrique is facing right now.
Yeah. Yamal's back as well, which is
Yeah.
a huge boost. I'm fascinated to watch. I'm a bit disappointed that PSG have so many injuries, but I am very fascinated to watch PSG's fullbacks against Barca's wingers because, for my money, PSG's fullbacks are the best in the world, and
I don't think
especially
Hakimi started
1-to-1
on
as
the.
well.
I think Hakimi. I don't think he started or didn't play on the weekend, so that might have been. I don't know the
Maybe
context. I
precaution.
apologize. I
Yeah,
might be having eyes for this game and what's going to be required. Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
no, I've especially Nuno Mendes against Lamine Yamal. I'm looking forward to watching that.
yeah. Should be good. Okay. What else do you have?
I don't have spent too much time on this. Arsenal win to nil, minus 115. Probably should be minus 130. I mean, Olympiakos were very poor against Pafos. Pafos had 10 men for about 60 minutes of the game, didn't score. Arsenal's defence is extremely solid, and they should have enough to edge out. And then I also like Dortmund to win against Bilbao at minus 118. And I
It's being
might
pushed out a
sprinkle,
bit. It's being
yeah,
pushed out a bit, but
I might
yeah, I like
sprinkle
that
a
too.
bit of Dortmund win to nil as well at plus 240. I know they drew 4-4 against Juventus, but Bilbao are really struggling in attack at the moment. Nico Williams' absence is huge.
That
They've
is
lost.
there one I don't. By the way, just to jump in, whether it's La Liga or Champions League, I can't believe the drop off with one player. What they have some other issues, but one key player they've lost through injury. But Bilbao's a completely different team without Nico Williams.
Capitulated. Yeah.
That's and Dortmund's on some good form here. They won away on the weekend with a clean sheet as well. So you think that there's value in maybe sprinkling them Dortmund to win to nil.
Yeah, I do. I mean, like I said, Bilbao with Nico, they've won 3 straight. He got injured. They now lost 4 of the last 5. All 4 have been to nil. And they've generated just 0.97 expected goals in that time. So they are struggling to create chances, which makes sense because not only is Nico Williams like really good and, against any fullback he's going to cause them problems, but he also attracts more attention, which means that you're freeing up more space for other players who perhaps aren't as good on their own, but give them a bit extra time, a bit of extra space, and they all of a sudden look a lot better and the whole team works. So, yeah, he's a massive absence. Like I said, Bilbao not creating anything at all. Dortmund, they've won 5 of an unbeaten 7 this season, and all 5 have been to nil. So when they win, it's generally off the back of solid defence, and even including the 4-4, even including the 3-3 against was it St. Pauli in the first game? They've conceded just 0.99 expected goals per game, which is really impressive. And it's not something we see from a Bundesliga team usually, because it's just so chaotic, Bundesliga matches. But to limit their opponents so well is very impressive. It's plus 240 for a Dortmund win to nil. And I do think that could potentially be a little bit of extra value there.
Good one. Only one other game I'm looking at, then we're kind of good to wrap up unless you have other fixtures you want to highlight as well.
One more. Might be the same.
Yeah, maybe. Which one?
Goal line. Villarreal, Juventus.
Yeah, that was the exact same one for me. From a Canadian perspective, we're keeping all eyes on it with Villarreal, with Taniolo O'Shea and Tajon Buchanan taking on Jonathan David, who may or may not play for Juventus. So it's a big one from a Canadian context, but I do think some value. And I'm not sure why Juventus are being disrespected the way they are. You can get them on the handicap plus a quarter of a goal at minus 109. That seems to be great value for me. The game could very well end in a draw, but I think you get the better side who's actually being slated as a little bit of an underdog here. Look, Villarreal have got off to a very good start to the season, but I do question the overall strength of La Liga compared to Serie A. For me, it's much more competitive just in the terms in terms of quality in the teams you're playing from week to week. So I think you're getting really good value to back Juventus on the goal line here.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I was very surprised to see Villarreal at plus 130, to be honest. I was actually I was coming into the game thinking, oh, I'll try and get Villarreal on side of the handicap. And I looked, I was like, whoa, they're pretty strong favourites. That surprised me a little bit. Yeah, but they've. I think the goal line does look low, 2.5 at plus 102. As we said, Juventus had a 4-4 in the opener. Villarreal, they generally score quite a lot of goals at home, and obviously off the back of that first defeat to Tottenham, and it was a 1-0 game, but they're going to have to open up and have a go now. Like, if they want to finish in that top 24, they've got to win the home matches at the very least. So they're going to have to try and take the game to Juventus. And I think that'll suit Juventus, who are obviously quite a young, vibrant, attacking team now. So, yeah, again, just like I said at the start, I think the goals in general increase quite a lot in this league phase, especially as it goes on as well, because teams start getting even more desperate for results. So, yeah, every time I see a 2.5 goal line, I'm always having a little look. And it could be the same at like even Karabakh and Copenhagen. The goal line set 2.5. Like, it's a massive game for both teams. They're not going to finish in the top 24, but you get a win in this competition. It's £2.5 million. Like, that's game changing for those sort of sides. So they're going to be going hell for leather.
So Jake's looking at the total, the goal line. Myself, I should correct myself. I'm looking at the handicap. Just some more context. Juventus haven't lost this season yet, and I know that Villarreal traditionally a very strong home side in this competition, but I like Juve, and I like the direction that they're going. The squad this year, I think, is built to compete. They have much more attacking talent than they did last year. Just defensively, that's where there might be some question marks, and Jake will try to take full advantage of that. All right, so that's the slate. That's what's making our board for Tuesday and Wednesday. Let us know in the comments, wherever you're watching or listening to this, what you're going to be on this week as well. Smash the like button and please subscribe to Pinnacle FC. All right, we have 5 units to play with each and every podcast, and you can make as many bets as you like. How are you going to divvy up your 5 units for match day 2 in the Champions League, Jake?
Yeah, I'm just finalising it. I'm gonna do 2 units on both teams to score and overs in the Atletico Frankfurt game. That's a plus 103. I'm going to do 1.5 units on Dortmund to beat Bilbao at minus 118. I'm going to do half a unit on Dortmund win to 0 at plus 240. So if Dortmund don't win, I'm royally shafting myself for 2 units there. But and then a final unit is going to be Juventus Villarreal over 2.5 goals at plus 102.
Okay. What did you have? Atletico Madrid, Eintracht Frankfurt, both teams to score in over 2.5.
Yeah,
I'm going to do this. I'm doing the exact same play for 1.5 units. Is that at plus 103?
yeah.
Plus 103. I'm just checking my notes. Okay. Same thing. I'm going to do another 1.5 unit play with Inter to win to 0 over Slavia Prague at plus 137. Then 2 1-unit plays. Let's look towards the Wednesday fixtures. We'll go with 1-unit plays for the Wednesday fixture. Backing Juventus on the handicap at plus 1/4 goal at minus 109, as well as Barcelona to beat PSG, as well as go over 2.5 at plus 142. That is for 1 unit. So 4 plays for me. Was that 4 plays for you as well? And the 5 units played. And let's look to keep it rolling here in the Champions League. We'll be back later in the week with our traditional just roundabout in terms of European domestic leagues. And we'll try to get back on track. It was a rough weekend as well. Keep it locked to Pinnacle social channels for all updates and our picks that are sliced and diced and presented to you, so you don't have to listen to 30 plus minutes of coverage here. But why wouldn't you want to listen? Because it's always a good time. Jake, best of luck in the Champions League this week, and we'll chat a little bit later on in the week.
Yeah, likewise. Enjoy the football.
He is Jake Osgathorpe. Follow along with Jake at Jake Oz. I am Gareth Wheeler on behalf of everyone on Pinnacle. Thanks for joining us, and this has been episode 56 of Pinnacle FC.